Last Christmas, I visited Tokyo Disneyland, and honestly, Disney is the happiest place on earth. But there was one thing I couldn't stop thinking about. Did you know you can pay extra to skip the line? That sounds great for customers who pay, but here's the question. Could this actually be a risk for Disney? Because more revenue doesn't always mean a better business. In some cases, it is a warning. Hi, my name is Yu Li, a senior data specialist lives in Melbourne, Australia. Today, let's look at how Disney balanced revenue and customer experiences using analytical framework. So imagine this scenario. You are a data analyst at Disney. This quarter, Premier Access sales up by 20%, profits increased significantly, but NPS dropped by 10 points. And most complaints are coming from guests in the regular queue. So the question is, as an analyst, would you continue selling Premier Access? Before we go further, let's quickly define one key business metric, NPS. NPS stands for Net Promoter Score. It measures how likely customers are to recommend a company or service. Customers rate from 0 to 10. 9 to 10 are promoters, 0 to 6 are detractors. NPS equals percentage of promoters minus detractors. In general, NPS above 40 is industry leading, NPS above 70 is world class. Companies like Apple, Tesla, Netflix, and Starbucks are often beyond 70. Disneyland NPS is around 48. In Australia, this metric matters even more because higher NPS means more loyalty customers and more revenues. So among 1,200 listed companies in Australia, more than 40 publicly mentioned their NPS in their annual report. That's because Australia is a mature retention-driven market, not a high-growth acquisition market. That's exactly why NPS matters here. Okay, now let's go back to our scenario. Revenue is up and NPS is down. If we look at the revenue side, the decision is obvious, sell more. If we only look at NPS, the decision is also obvious, sell less. But the real world doesn't work like that. Real decisions require us to look at revenue, experiences, brand, operation all together. So let's build an analytical framework. Part 1. Let's do some math to dig out what really happened. This is actually a scarce resource allocation problem. Rider capacity in a theme park is fixed, so every extra Premier Access sold means less capacity for the regular queue. So let me show you why a small change can cause a big damage. Assume my favorite ride, Beauty and Fast, can serve 1,000 guests per hour. If 100 guests use Premier Access, the regular queue gets 900 spots. Now the sales increase by 20%, means that becomes 120 Premier Access guests. So the regular queue dropped to 880. It looks just 20 different people. It should just add 2 more minutes. However, when the system is already full, it pushes that 20 regular guests every single hour. And those people don't disappear. It caused a traffic jam. Also, the ride is normally took by per batch. If a customer is pushed to the next batch, it directly adds another 10 minutes to wait for the next ride. Those extra 20 priority slots can easily push average waiting time to 60 minutes to 7 minutes or even more. This is I call the leverage effect of waiting time. A small increase in paid access creates a disproportionately large pain point for non-paying customers. As a data analyst, I won't stop here. I would like to look at 2 things to dig out if the Premier Access actually impacted the waiting time. So firstly, time-based capacity allocation analysis. Let's have a look for the peak time, say 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. What percentage of actual ride capacity is going to Premier Access? Secondly, waiting time sensitive. At what point the guest tolerance collapse? It's 60 minutes, 70 minutes, or 100 minutes. So NPS doesn't decline smoothly. It dropped off a cliff after a threshold. So in summary, all I want to do is, first thing, we need to analyzing a problem by measure the real impact. Part 2, let's have a look why NPS dropped. Many people assume NPS dropped because guests waiting too long, but this is only half of the story. NPS is driven by actual experiences and expectation management. Waiting 2 hours alone is not what makes people angry. What really breaks the experiences is watching other people skip the line. This is called relative deprivation. So before, everyone waiting together, slow but fair. Now, you are standing in one queue while next to you, premier access guests keeping flowing and your line doesn't move. This visual contrast is far more frustrating than time itself. So you need to analyzing NPS based on customers' comment and customers' complaint. Are people complaining about fatigue or just about unfairness? Those will lead to very different solutions. So here is the point I want to emphasize. When we're analyzing a problem, data is not only about the number. It is also the insight coming from the unstructured data like complaints, like from the social media, for anything that you can understand your customer better. Once we find the fact from the number and once we establish the why the thing happened, the most hard part is solutions. Part 3, let's have a look what Disney actually did. The real value of analysis is finding the optimal solutions under constraints. What we want is brutal improvement, better experiences without sacrifice revenue. And this is what Disney actually did. First thing Disney did is limited premier access inventory. Not every ride has it, and it is also released in a small batch with time windows. For example, my recent experiences in Tokyo Disneyland, I bought my first part around 9:30, and I have different time slot to enter the ride that I pick. And after this, I have 1 hour freezing time. I can't buy any priority pass for any ride. So Disney using this to manage how many premier access are allocated for a specific time. But you may ask, there are many people who don't know what is premier access. They just say people is coming in. For this, Disney introduced the free priority pass. So every guest has a chance to experience it. It is also released with time slot. So this manages the expectation and also tells people how to using the priority pass and premier access and what the experiences looks like, which I feel is a super smart idea. The second thing Disney did, great expectation management through the app. So the app shows the realistic waiting time, the overall park crowded level. You can find the nearby attractions with shorter time. This is so smart to redirecting the flow than forcing endurance. The third, Disney also improved perceived waiting, not just the actual waiting. Many waiting areas are designed as experiences themselves. They have the stories on the board, they have visuals as a great photo spot, interactions along the queue, which making the waiting time is enjoyable. And finally, Disney add more paid shows and premiere experiences for the premiere access, like special viewing area for the firework. That shifts the demand away from the rides entirely without hurting anyone else's experiences, and they can sell more. I have to say, it's very impressive to see how Disney managed the magic moment for every guest. To learn more, I've read 2 books about Disney that reveal how company thinks about customer experiences. I highly recommend them if you want to master your customer service and long-term customer relationships. I hope you from this case, balancing revenue and customer experiences, you take away one thing: how to thinking with data, how to solve problem and provide real value with data. Keep this analytical framework in your mind will make you stand out. First, use data to establish the fact. Second, use data to understand the customer's real need. And third, use data to design business solutions. That's how analysts create impact, by turning complex into clarity. Thank you for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.